Why would it be bad to have your cake and eat it? Why is that a metaphor of greed? What else shall I do with it? It could be a piece of art, something beautiful to behold, but its purpose is to be eaten. It is a cake. Yes, I would like to have the cake and to eat it as well. I want to enjoy things I enjoy, not simply just hold them in my hands, stare at them upon a platter, wonder what they taste like. I want to eat the cake. It was made for somebody to eat. Why not me? Coffee and cake take time, and not just the preparation time. They take time to enjoy. In fact, they must take time to enjoy. And let's be honest about it. The most thing we enjoy about this experience is shared table, shared laughter, excitement, inspiration, learning, art, conversation. So please allow me to take you on a little journey.
Heinrich Baron von Liebig was the second son of a founder of Liebig & Company, the largest textile company on European continents. It was founded in 1828 by two brothers to manufacture half-woolen waistcoats and trouser fabrics. It soon became so lucrative that they added to it railway lines, steel and ironworks, plus numerous factories producing porcelain, and of course vast amounts of land. Heinrich, together with his brothers, took over the management of its company and lands in 1863, but he proved to be of somewhat delicate health. So soon he leaves the management of the company in the capable hands of his brothers and dedicates his life entirely to collecting 19th century art. Art heals, clearly. Liebig's villa is one of the most splendid and beautiful private homes here in Frankfurt. It was built at the end of the 19th century in the style of opulent historicism, taking its inspiration from recreating various historical styles. It was built by a Munich architect, Leonhard Romeis. Romeis took his inspiration from his extensive European travels, collecting various architectural designs of European buildings throughout the century, and also from his native homeland in Franconia. It is a real gem and a showpiece of Gründerzeit architecture. Gründerzeit refers to the economic upswing in the middle of the 19th century. This was the grand era of industrialization. It was said that the Gründers, and in modern language, entrepreneurs, could become rich overnight. In the mindsets of many Germans, this epoch is linked intrinsically to Kaiser Wilhelm I and Chancellor Bismarck. It didn't end with them and continued well into the reign of Kaiser Wilhelm II. It was the gold age for Germany. The disasters of 30 Years' War and Napoleonic Wars were over, and Germany was able to compete on the international level in the fields of commerce, industry, science, technology, and art. In his will, Heinrich Baron von Liebig granted the city of Frankfurt an option to purchase his villa at a preferential price, on one condition, that this space will become public art museum for all times. Now it is a home for nearly 3,000 sculptures. It is the world's most prominent museum, specializing exclusively in sculptures.
The museum itself is internationally most important for sculptures, and the collection of the Liebig House actually gives a well-founded survey of 5,000 years of sculpture.
Liebig House is so beautiful. It's absolutely stunning, and it's a bit hidden, you know, but like when I walk to work, I always walk past here, and people have on numerous occasions stopped me in the street, asked me for directions, how do I get to Liebig House? So people really identify with this place and really enjoy it and appreciate it and take advantage of it. So it's very much alive, and people are drawn to it, and they feel like it's part of their almost local identity of what it means to be a Frankfurter. Frankfurt wouldn't be Frankfurt without this place.
The Liebig House has actually really a broad audience, from school kids to senior citizens, from the Frankfurt tourists to experts really wanting to see this specific exhibit. Our educational program brings the people back, and they do workshops here or visit lectures. We have events surrounding the special exhibitions we have here.
We can't quite go inside at this moment, but we can still enjoy this fantastic art in the magnificent garden of the house of Baron von Liebig.
Every time you come back, you not only have this close encounter with the sculptures, but also the building and the garden. You will always find a new small detail you haven't seen before, and which can really spark your interest. When we enter a museum, we can travel in time and see what actually learn from the past and reflect on today.
Here we see Goddess Athena, who came out of the Zeus's head fully armed. She's a virgin goddess and a fearless warrior. And a satyr called Marsyas. Marsyas was famous for his wisdom and natural talent in music. The original composition was done by a Greek sculptor, Miron. Miron is considered to be the god of movement because he released his statues from just standing there and made them move, jump, run. But I'm particularly impressed by the expressions and individuality he gave to those statues.
The myth talks about Athena having just invented the double flute, the aulos. She took pleasure in the sound of her instrument, but seeing her reflection while playing it, with her puffed out cheeks disfiguring her face, she was disgusted and threw the flute to the ground in horror and cursed it so that whoever picked it up would meet an awful death. Marsyas, a natural talent and a protege at the flute, is attracted by the wonderful sound. He looks with fascination at the invention of the goddess, unaware of his eventual fate. He takes the instrument. His face reveals surprise and astonishment at the beautiful sound of the flute. As usual in Greek myths, he faces a gruesome death after he challenged Apollo to a musical duel and lost.
My love for art helped me a lot of time because I have an aesthetic sense of the life, and I like beautiful things, and I think they help also to have a good mood and to have another interest. Yeah? When I'm here, for instance, I feel well. If I would be in between concrete walls, I wouldn't feel so well. Beauty is an attitude, in fact.
More than 100 years ago, the ground floor of this magnificent villa was service rooms, kitchen, ironing room and servants' rooms.
Today, the former kitchen is a home to a splendid Liebig House cafe.
I'm fond of art, so when there are some art exhibitions, I'm coming here. And some other times I'm coming here because of the coffee shop, because it's beautiful. It's one of the best in town. When I have friends or people coming from other towns, I come here just because it's the best place to be.
German love affair with coffee began in 17th century, when the first coffee house opened in Bremen in 1673. Back then, coffee was a luxury good and only reserved for nobility and privileged citizens. The encounters in coffee houses at the time gave the birth of a wonderful German tradition, Kaffee und Kuchen, which translates as a coffee and a cake.
These Kaffeehäuser, as you just mentioned, I mean, the culture there is not only coffee, but you go there for coffee and something sweet, and you can't really separate it. Like, you wouldn't probably go there just to have a coffee, but you want a cake as well. And I think this is really big in German culture as well, that like families meet to have coffee. On Sundays, they will have coffee with cake. Still a thing. Like, obviously it got less, and we might go out and grab the coffee somewhere with the cake. But that still exists, and that comes from those old traditions of Kaffeehäuser. I don't think you really need caffeine, but just the ritual around it. So that's what makes me appreciate this thing so much, because every person you ask, they will tell you a story with coffee. They all have a sort of history with it.
One of the things I miss the most during lockdown is just going for coffee and cake with my friends. And I feel like you get to have conversations in a very relaxed manner, but also you go there with a purpose almost, like you go there to have a good conversation with somebody who's dear to you.
The philosophy is we only serve high quality coffee, meaning specialty coffee. What I just mentioned, that there is a history behind it, and that it's as far as possible a fair coffee that we're serving, and because of that the quality is better as well, and your cup will taste better as well. So I think this connected with like an open environment and like a friendly, like we don't want you to be just one customer, we want you to feel like, yeah, you're coming not home, I think that's a bit too much, but like to friendly faces you can have a chat with if you want to, because that's new in Germany. You didn't do that before. Like, you don't chat with strangers, but here you get to know the people and feel like you can do it if you want to. I think that's an important part of the whole picture. I work with this a lot to explain to people how you can taste different flavors in your coffee. And I work a lot with smells as well. Aromas are really important. Do you feel like this is fruity or acidic or more chocolatey and nutty? I think those are like the easiest flavors you can sort of use. Well, if I'm really talking about coffee, I would go more into detail. Like, I smell orange, I smell caramel, I smell like sort of toffee flavors, I smell rhubarb.
As every coffee connoisseur knows, each coffee has its own aroma, and some aromas harmonize better with the flavors of the cake, be it chocolatey or nutty or fruity and lemony. I think actually the cheesecake goes with any possible coffee combination we can think of. I feel like we have to conduct here some experiment, and of course one must do things in style. So here we are in the beautiful garden of Libek's house. Now, this one is the winner. This particular coffee goes really well with that. I am in paradise.
For the past year, and still for coming weeks and months, millions of people are facing the same challenge: defy your social instincts and stay at home. It is a rather dark irony that the most social thing to do is to be antisocial. So how do we cope? As we're all figuring this out, a quick glance into a German culture and vocabulary might provide us with a little cozy secret to coping at home. It is called Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit is, I think, to me, the most famous word where there's no direct English equivalent. You know, it's very hard to translate. It's more than coziness. It's a very deep coziness, almost like, you know, you rest in yourself. It's got a lot to do with being very much at ease with yourself. So it's like an existential coziness. But at the same time, it's very light-hearted. You know, it's not a serious coziness. It's a very light-hearted existential coziness. You know, to be gemütlich, you have to be able to let go a bit more, have a couple of hours, you know, either just by yourself or, you know, with a small group of loved ones to get to that proper, you know, deep relaxation where you're very much at ease with yourself. So I think time is essential, and time nowadays very much is a luxury. So that's what it takes for sure.
I think that a delicious cake with a perfectly matching cup of coffee, good book, and your phones off might just do the trick.
They can give you sort of a playground because you feel homely, sort of, and you feel like you can meet with people. And I think everyone has this experience of going for a coffee and then sitting down for hours. And I think that opens the door for maybe revolutionary thoughts.
The first paper started in coffee shops, and also, well, the association in 19th century were many times meeting of people that met somewhere publicly, and there wasn't a coffee.
You know, coffee, cake in a beautiful setting, like in a cafe house, that's the best context to have that. It might not be that every visit to the you know, cafe ends with a revolution, but it's a great, there's a lot of potential there.